When Jennifer Harris went missing on May 12, 2002, authorities quickly identified two persons of interest: her ex-boyfriend and business partner, James Hamilton, and her ex-husband, Rob Holman. First, they spoke to James.
James Hamilton really cared about Jennifer, and, it wasn't a mutual breakup. She was the one that broke up with James.
Next, they called in Rob.
He says the last time he talked to her was that morning in the telephone call. He also happens to be the last person on earth who admits seeing her alive.
We got to look at the whole great big picture. If she don't show up, we got to find out what happened to her. It's a crazy puzzle, but we put the puzzle together eventually. Okay? We have not got one homicide in this county or missing person that we have not solved.
Join me as I try to discover what happened to Jennifer Harris and who is responsible for her death. From Cold Case Productions, this is Final Days on Earth, Season 2, The Life and Death of Jennifer Harris, Episode 5, Persons of Interest, Part 2. I'm your host, Claire Sandomal. Thanks for listening. Before we get started, just a heads up that we've contacted both James Hamilton and Rob Holman to request interviews for this podcast. So far, James Hamilton has not responded. Rob Holman got in touch with me and declined to do an interview at this time. For now, we are relying on the recorded statements that James and Rob gave to police in this case. When we left off in the last episode, investigators with the Fannin County Sheriff's Office were just climbing into the car with Jennifer's ex-husband, Rob Holman. After learning that Rob's alibi for Jennifer's disappearance included a long drive on back roads, investigators asked Rob to show them exactly where he went.
I think we need to retrace his steps up to on Sunday night where he's claiming he was. Up to where that bridge is.
Along for the ride was Detective Kelly Warren.
I've got my 8mm in the car, so as we ride along, we can document what we're doing.
And Lieutenant Mike McClellan.
That way it's our gas, and all you got to do is sit back and enjoy the ride.
As they were loading up, McClellan prompted Rob to bring along his cell phone.
I told him to bring his mobile phone that way just in case she tries calling us.
Remember during James Hamilton's interview with police the day before? They had noted that he wouldn't let loose of his cell phone the whole time, hoping Jennifer might call. Even though investigators had said the purpose of the ride-along was to retrace Rob's path on the night Jennifer disappeared, they started out by asking Rob about the other times he'd gone driving, times when he had met up with Jennifer.
About when did you meet her out here?
Oh, this would have been back in first part of March.
Investigators asked Rob what went on between them during that meeting.
Okay. And did y'all have sex out here?
No.
Okay.
Did she try to get you to break up with your girlfriend over here at this point? During this meeting?
Yeah, it was every conversation we had pretty much about that.
Rob said the conversation was typical. Jennifer was trying to convince him to break up with his girlfriend and reestablish their relationship. Investigators also wanted to know about the logistics of Jennifer and Rob's meeting.
Did she leave her Jeep parked out here and then y'all left?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
We went up this road, took it on around, just staying on the dirt roads.
When she would get in the truck with you, what all would she bring with her?
Let's see. I believe that time she had the dog with her. And she'd bring her keys, bring her purse, maybe a CD or something.
In case you didn't catch that, Rob told investigators that back in March, he met Jennifer on the back roads of Bonham. On that occasion, she had her dog Pat with her, and she parked her Jeep, took her keys and purse, and got into Rob's truck. It's also worth noting that Rob mentioned that Jennifer would sometimes bring a CD with her. Let's listen to that last part again.
She'd bring her keys, bring her purse, maybe a CD or something.
Remember that Reckless Kelly CD? The one Jennifer bought in Austin about a week before her disappearance? It has never been found. Here again is former Fannin County investigator Daryl Parker.
Jennifer had reportedly purchased a CD by a band named Reckless Kelly. And supposedly that was one of Rob's favorite bands. No one knows where the CD went, who she gave it to. It's just disappeared.
As investigators went down the winding roads of Bonham, their conversation meandered as well. Their drive down memory lane included detours for key events in Jennifer and Rob's ongoing romantic relationship, secret liaisons that often took place down dirt roads.
Now, the next time is where?
The night that we had sex that she was claiming she got pregnant.
But investigators really wanted to know one thing. What was Rob doing for 5 hours on back roads in Bonham the night Jennifer disappeared? Rob said his first stop after leaving his girlfriend's house was the Quick Check convenience store in Bonham.
Here, Quick Check, you got what?
Bag of ice, probably a couple boxes of cigarettes, yes.
The mention of Quick Check triggered my memory of another police interview in Jennifer's case. Her cousin, Susan Bowen.
I said, where do y'all meet? And she told me, she said, I met him at Quick Check that night that I was at your house.
During her interview, Susan told investigators that Jennifer had admitted to meeting with Rob at Quick Check in the past. Susan told Jennifer at the time that her absence had worried her grandmother terribly.
And I said, you worried Mom. And that's what I called her grandmother. And I said, I really felt sorry for her, Jennifer. And she said, well, I came back.
But this time was different. It'd been 3 days since Jennifer left the house under mysterious circumstances and hadn't come back.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Alice.
And together we host a weekly true crime podcast called The Prosecutors.
In every episode, we bring our unique perspective as full-time prosecutors to the most famous and debated true crime mysteries. Whether it's Maura Murray, Scott Peterson, or the Delphi murders, Brett and I dig deep to bring you details you won't hear anywhere else.
Our podcast is about more than just a story. We will walk you through the legal problems lurking behind every case, breaking down the complexities of the criminal justice system with humor and a personal touch. And it's not just true crime. We bring the same training and approach we've learned as prosecutors to classic mysteries like the Dyatlov Pass incident and the ghost ship Mary Celeste.
So if you're looking for a true crime podcast with a different point of view, The Prosecutors is the one for you. Find us wherever you get your podcasts.
Claire Sandomal here, host of Final Days on Earth. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Bonafide. Bonafide provides natural solutions for perfectly natural symptoms. They create non-prescription solutions that treat women's health issues from PMS to menopause and everything in between. New products like Silvessa, the first comprehensive system designed to restore and protect hair and skin affected by estrogen decline from the inside out. Relelzin provides powerful hormone-free relief from menopausal hot flashes and night sweats so you can stay cool and dry all day and night. Give Bonafide a try today. No hormones and no prescription required. Real relief without compromise. I'm going to give listeners today a special offer when you subscribe to any product by going to hellobonafide.com/FDOE and use promo code FDOE. That's hello, BONAFIDE.com/FDOE. and code FDOE to claim your special offer. For the best prices and free shipping, go directly to the hellobonafide.com/FDOE website. So check it out. Investigators continued to press Jennifer's ex-husband Rob for details of his whereabouts on May 12, 2002. A night Rob himself admitted he had no witnesses to confirm his alibi.
You're real worried and scared because I know that I don't have anybody to say where I was at that night. That's what I've been scared of the whole time.
Rob said that after quick check, he saw Jennifer's Jeep at the Highway 78 intersection in Bonham.
After getting that ride here, I saw what I thought was her Jeep making that corner.
Did she see you?
I don't think so.
In case you didn't catch that, Lieutenant McClellan asked Rob, "Did she see you?" And Rob replied softly, "I don't think so." Next, Rob said he turned the opposite way of Jennifer to avoid her and continue driving, mostly aimlessly. Later on, Rob said he went by 2 friends' houses, but neither one was home. Investigators asked about other stops in the 5-hour-long window between when Rob said he left the house at 8 p.m. and when both he and his girlfriend Sarah Beth said he returned around 1:30 a.m. Considering the amount of time Rob claimed to be driving around in a half-ton pickup truck, Lieutenant McClellan asked Rob about needing fuel.
Sunday night, did you ever fuel up?
No.
Sunday day, did you fuel up?
I think I did Saturday.
As unlikely as it might seem, Rob said he didn't need to gas up his truck after being on the road for 5 hours. One of the last places Rob took investigators on this ride along was up by the border with Oklahoma, near the Red River.
You're this close to the river, and you didn't go over there for anything?
Nope.
In case you didn't catch that, on the night Jennifer vanished, Rob told investigators he was over by the Red River around 1:30 in the morning.
What time was that?
Probably 1:30.
Investigators asked Rob if his girlfriend Sarah Beth knew that he was driving around with police and being questioned in his ex-wife Jennifer's disappearance. He said she did not.
Does your girlfriend know what you're doing today?
I was at work.
So she thinks you're at work?
Right.
Investigators wanted to know what Rob's girlfriend Sarah Beth thought about his habit of driving for hours on end in the country.
What would Sarah say when you want to just go out and make your little rides like this?
She knows that's a lot of times it's me and her out riding around. That's just what I like to do, is go out and drive around.
And is there any particular reason she didn't go with you Sunday night?
She had to get her stuff together for school the next morning.
In case you didn't catch that, Lieutenant McClellan asked Rob 2 questions. What did his girlfriend Sarah think of him going on frequent drives in the country? And why wasn't she with him on Sunday? Rob said Sarah knew about his drives and that she often came with him, but she didn't join him on Sunday night because she was preparing lessons for school the next morning. Sarah Beth might have known about Rob's penchant for long drives, but she was allegedly unaware of his infidelity. This is from Rob's 2002 interview with investigators at the sheriff's office.
Are you planning on getting married to the girl you're with now?
Yeah, I'd like to.
When do y'all plan on working on
I talked about that.
Yeah. The when? Oh, not any time soon.
When was the last time y'all talked about it?
When I get married? Yeah. We talked about it just kind of being funny every once in a while, that kind of thing. But as far as like seriously talking about it, I don't have any idea.
How would it affect y'all's relationship if she would have found out about the pregnancy?
No, I'm sure it's been open. I mean, it would be for me if I was in that situation.
So Jennifer's kind of double tapping you as far as, first she goes out, has an affair, y'all get divorced, so she's heard she wants there. She seems to be seeing you on the side, kind of like a tease. Want to play, doesn't want to stay. And then, last but least, now she's supposedly pregnant and possibly going to ruin her life again.
Right.
Detective Kelly Warren followed up with him about Jennifer's pregnancy. Rob told the detective that he wasn't planning on telling his girlfriend Sarah Beth about Jennifer's pregnancy because the baby, quote, wasn't his. He was also nervous that the police would leak the rumor.
But we haven't told anybody. We haven't discussed it except for just within
Okay.
our office.
Because I never knew.
With you, and then with you. We haven't been out and told anybody else.
Okay.
And we won't.
No, this is just
That's part of our investigation.
Right.
So if you want it known, you tell it, because we're not going to.
Yeah. What you're saying here is,
We does.
as far as us.
Right. Because I never knew. Because sometimes the part of the conversation she'd act like it was real straight up, and then part of the time she'd say some stuff. I thought that she wasn't telling the truth about it. So that's why I was asking you. You for sure knew that she was.
And if she wasn't, what kind of difference would that make to you right now?
If she wasn't
Pregnant,
it would make things a lot better.
Detective Warren asked Rob to take him through when Jennifer told him she was pregnant. Rob said it was about 4 weeks earlier.
She told me she was pregnant.
Over the phone.
No, we met. And
Where'd you meet her?
Past the drive-in movie theater. Down the dirt road.
And when you met her, was she on her sheet?
Yeah. We sat on the side of the road and talked. She told me that she was pregnant and that it was mine and that, asked me what I thought about it. And I told her that, couldn't be mine, and
But she believed it was yours.
yeah.
Investigators pressed Rob on why the baby couldn't be his. They asked him if he'd had a vasectomy or if he'd even used a condom. Rob answered no to both questions. They then tried to piece together a pregnancy timeline. Susan, Jennifer's cousin, was the go-to source for what Jennifer believed about her alleged pregnancy.
She was like 17 weeks pregnant.
And even though Rob denied the baby could be his, the timing of their last interlude was plausible.
The only time that we had sex was then into February after Valentine's Day.
In case you didn't catch that, Rob said the last time he had sex with Jennifer was sometime after Valentine's Day, about 14 weeks before Jennifer disappeared.
And where was that at?
We were out riding around.
Did y'all meet out there, or did you meet somewhere else and go up?
No, I picked her up at Ming's house, I think.
Rob told Detective Kelly Warren that on the night she claimed she got pregnant, he'd picked Jennifer up from Grandma Mimi's house in his truck, and they'd gone riding around, talking for a long time, before driving up north, by the border with Oklahoma, to a town called Riverby, up near the Red River.
And did you drive straight out there?
No, we drove around for
a
long time, talking.
And what part of Motown and what part of the area did you stop at?
It was north out towards Riverby, that's where it was.
And whose car were you?
My truck.
Detective Warren pressed Rob on the exact mechanics of his roadside rendezvous with Jennifer. Rob said they had sex in a pasture, and partially in his pickup truck.
When y'all stopped, did you pull off the road, or did you stop on the road?
It was in a pasture.
In a pasture. And did you have sex in the truck?
Yeah.
Or outside the truck?
She was in the truck, I was out of the truck.
That timing could align with Jennifer's pregnancy. 17 weeks prior to May 12th is January 13th, which puts Rob's alleged end date on their romantic relationship in late February, well within the parameters for Jennifer to be pregnant. In the end, maybe Rob just didn't want to believe that it could be his baby.
The way I was looking at it was, the whole time me and Sarah Beth had been together, she didn't like that. And she was constantly wanting to try to patch things up. That's the first thing that I thought. First, I didn't believe her. I just thought she was saying this just to say it.
Rob also told investigators that he's always known Jennifer to take prenatal vitamins, and the fact that they were found in her medicine cabinet really wasn't surprising to him, nor did it confirm pregnancy. No one else close to Jennifer ever said anything about her taking prenatal vitamins as a matter of course, so it's hard to know what to make of this allegation from Rob. But interestingly enough, Rob wasn't the only one who questioned the validity of Jennifer's pregnancy. Jennifer's cousin Susan also wondered if Jennifer was truly pregnant.
Even in the family, and it's just like rumored, or maybe she was pregnant, I don't know.
You mentioned the rumor about her being pregnant. How long ago did that come up?
I heard that this last week.
In her interview with investigators, Susan revealed why she was questioning the validity of Jennifer's pregnancy, and it circled back to the mind games Jennifer said she played with the men in her life.
But I know Jennifer's temperament. I would say, Jennifer, why are you so mean to James? You don't know what I did to Rob, Susan. And she would say, just shut up, you don't know. And I mean, but that's the way we would talk to each other. Just shut up, you don't know. Don't tell me anything. You know? You don't know what I did to Rob.
Whether or not Jennifer actually was pregnant, the idea of her being pregnant and telling people about it is a big deal for investigators. Authorities learn that Jennifer's pregnant. What is the urgency and how important is it for them to discover who's the father of her child or who she believed was the father of her child?
Well, when someone disappears, that's kind of the first thing you have to look at, who would benefit from their disappearance.
Here again is Daryl Parker.
Did they have any enemies? And was the issue something that was significant enough that someone would take a drastic action? Her family members knew that she thought she was pregnant. It's a common situation where a woman who is pregnant, it's an unwanted pregnancy by the father. The mother starts to apply pressure to the father or the suspected father, the alleged father, in any number of ways. Maybe she wants financial assistance. Maybe she wants to be married. Maybe she threatens to expose an affair to the father's spouse, those kinds of things. All of those things create pressure. And, these males, the alleged fathers, respond in a variety of different ways. And unfortunately, one of the common ways is that they will kill the mother. In this case, really all of those were present, meaning that Jennifer was applying pressure to Rob, saying that this was his child and that she wanted to reconcile. And she knew that he was involved with Sarah Beth Ruffner, and she was going to tell Sarah Beth Ruffner that she and Rob had been continuing to have intimate relations even after they were divorced.
To investigators, it wasn't looking good for Rob. But of course, there's another person who could have had a motive to harm Jennifer upon learning she was pregnant. Jennifer's ex-boyfriend, James Hamilton.
She had just broken up with James Hamilton several weeks before this, I think 2 or 3 weeks before this.
In his interview with investigators, James said he never wanted children, and that his 2 kids from a previous relationship were a surprise.
I wasn't trying for children then. In fact, I didn't want children. Come to find out, she did. So that came as quite a shock. And I certainly didn't want 2 kids.
failed business plan, a, spurned lover. I mean, he would make a good suspect.
Jennifer told multiple people, including Rob, that he was the father. But Susan was not convinced.
And then she had another love interest in her life.
It depends on who you talk to, but the people that know the real truth to it, it was James Hamilton.
Okay.
It was also her business partner.
Okay.
Remember, Jennifer had told Susan that she was 17 weeks pregnant. Jennifer had moved out of the apartment she shared with James after their business folded in February. That left a 14 to 15 week overlap of Jennifer being in a romantic relationship with both James and Rob.
Right, and because of that background about James Hamilton, then you have to look at his alibi, and you look at it anyway. You have to look at his alibi and see if his alibi is a construction with an accomplice, David Shajib, or if it's genuine. And like I said, based on the interviews, their body language and all that stuff, I think they were genuine. I believe the alibi. Unfortunately, law enforcement at the time didn't go down to the McDonald's and collect any security video. They could have proven the alibi up, which is what they should have done. That wasn't done.
Yeah, the lack of surveillance video for the alibi is sort of unbelievable because there was surveillance video at that McDonald's, but police didn't get there in enough time to get it before it had been overwritten.
Yeah, this is 2002, so most security video was still on VHS tapes kind of thing. And it's one of those systems where it will be overwritten typically every 30 days. And I don't know how long it took them to get down there, but they apparently either didn't go or they went too late. The security video had already been overwritten, and the opportunity to confirm his alibi or to prove his alibi false was lost.
Yeah, that's definitely a box you'd love to have checked, even though you have two people, confirming and saying this is what happened. Like you said, it could be an accomplice. He was a friend. Would he have lied for him? To not necessarily because he knew that he had been involved in anything, but just as a friend to friend, to give him that corroboration. You have to wonder without the physical proof of it.
Right. And if that box had been checked, and if James Hamilton could have been removed early in the investigation as a suspect, then you're really only left with two people, either Rob Holman or a complete stranger.
But removing James Hamilton as a suspect was not so easy to do, as his relationship with Jennifer was also strained.
The decision for James and Jennifer to break up was not James' decision. That was Jennifer's decision. And so James was still smitten with her, and he was hoping that they would work things out and get back together. They started a business together. And so they were not only romantically involved, but they were also involved as business partners. And so he was certainly concerned. He certainly cared about her.
Investigators had their hands full, sifting through James and Rob's statements, their alibis for the evening of the 12th, and their volatile relationships with Jennifer. What they didn't know yet was that their case was about to take a drastic turn, from missing person to murder. On the next episode of Final Days on Earth, the life and death of Jennifer Harris. A fisherman calls police with a grim discovery.
I found out and immediately got in my car and just drove out there to the Red River Bridge. I just kept repeating over and over, this can't be real.
Investigators have finally located the body of 28-year-old Jennifer Harris. But the questions in her case are only beginning.
If she killed herself, where are her clothes? If she killed herself, where's her purse? Statistics do show that a pregnant woman can face a substantial risk from a partner who doesn't want the pregnancy.
If you have any information about the unsolved murder of Jennifer Harris, contact the Fannin County Sheriff's Department at 903-583-2143. Final Days on Earth is recorded in Dallas, Texas for Cold Case Productions in partnership with Podcast One. This episode was written and reported by me, Claire Sandomal, and Hillary Wadsworth. Audio production by Matthew Mallinger of Podcast One. Original theme music composed and performed by Riley Simmons. Associate producer is April Scales. Editorial consultant is Lucy Scott of LucyMedia.com. Executive producers are Sharon Richards and me,